Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. Prophecy Watch, all right, as I have on the screen, Netanyahu appointed Nagel Committee says Israel must prepare for direct war with Turkey. All right, and as you see the question at the bottom of the screen, all right, what does the United States do if Israel attacks a NATO nation? All right, so as you can see, the small hats, the least of the flock, are being used to bring about, all right, division, friction, and they're going to draw out all of these nations for the purpose of war, as Turkey, all right, has been adamant about the condemnation of Israel's actions against its Muslim brothers, all right, in the form of the Palestinians, you know, what they're doing in Syria. And pretty much they've been on a war path, you know, even using scriptures as a means to say they have the rights, all right, to obliterate and bomb all of these people out using, these particular hostages that were supposedly taken, which we know that these devils are always up to no good. All right, so supposedly, some hostages were taken, and from that point on, they've used that as a justification to just bomb, whether it be hospitals, and most of the people who, been at the victims of their bombing have been, women and children, men as well, but mostly women and children. All right, as they are using that as a means to ethnically cleanse those Palestinians out of that land. All right, and who's aiding them? Well, the United States is aiding them. Who's been aiding, all right, Israel, for the majority of these years has been the United States, all right, the beast system, okay, EU, all right, and here we are now, okay, where Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, is being fulfilled right before our very eyes. Now, let's get an article on it. Give me 1 second. Israel must prepare for potential war with Turkey. Now, Turkey is a member of NATO. Okay. Now, we know, giving you an example here, all right, that America, which is a part of NATO as well, which Turkey and America are the top two military powers in NATO, with America being, of course, the dominant. Okay, but if Israel and Turkey go to war, what will America do? All right, and this is leading to the division, the breaking up of the beast system. Okay, and in Ezekiel 38, we know Turkey sides with Russia. All right, as Erdogan, all right, the Turkey president, let's call him that. He's basically openly said him and Putin, are the last standing emperors of the world. So Turkey, who has always been on the fence, although they're a part of NATO, over the years, they've always been on the fence and have kind of played both sides. In these latter days, we will see a point, all right, where Turkey, all right, 100% links up with Russia. They're even trying to get membership into BRICS. But Biden approves $8 billion arms deal for Israel to permanently eradicate the Palestinians. Okay. And pretty much Turkey is in disagreement with how those small hats have been handling this situation with the Palestinians. All right. The Biden administration has approved a controversial $8 billion arms deal with Israel that will allow Netanyahu to regime to permanently eradicate the Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Okay. And Donald Trump as well has recently, let's bring this out, okay? Let's listen to what he just said.
All hell will be paid. All hell must be paid if they don't release the hostages.
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
And they say Hamas, right? But that's just like, let's say the Bloods committed a particular act in Los Angeles. Okay, they took some victims, they took some hostages. So the Bloods, you have the Bloods and the Crips, right? So the Bloods, they take some hostages, and pretty much, now we're justified in bombing all of LA. All right, when really it was supposedly just a group within this region that did this act. Okay, pretty much now we're justified in bombing, all of LA to find these hostages. So you mean all of these years with all of this intelligence, with all this weaponry, y'all haven't been able to find these hostages yet? And they've been bombing all kind of shit. And then after they're bombing, they'll say, well, we thought, some of the hostages or the people who have the hostages will be here. Well, why the hell are you bombing them like that? Don't you want the hostages to make it out safe? Showing you that this is all a farce. And this has been an ongoing war and back and forth between the small hats and the Palestinians. It didn't just start with this situation with the hostages. This is just how they use their media, okay, and, mind manipulation, psyops to, work on the minds of the people, okay? But he's saying basically all hell will break loose, okay, if these hostages aren't released. Okay, let's go back.
And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old.
And it's crazy with all of the surveillance, with all of, how heavily, surveilled Israel is. These, so-called Hamas TER, right, group was able to just roll up in there on some motorcycles, take and hijack people and just roll off into the sunset, and you can't find them. And we're supposed to sit there and believe this madness, okay? And ultimately, we don't have a side in this whole back and forth. It's prophecy. We're not with, all right, the state of Israel. We're not with the Palestinians. We're just bringing out the news, man. All right, but I mean, it's good to have good sense, man, because common sense ain't common. All right, clearly, okay, they have a plan to take over that land, and we have to understand that the state of Israel is an extension of British, all right, colonization, man. Okay, and the UN finished the job. But anyway, as you can see, okay, all war, okay, is getting ready to break out. Okay, everything is in line with what the prophecy said. As the scriptures say, at the end it shall speak. So here it is, Biden, before he gets out of office, he's sending more aid and there's more deals and, for the state of Israel to be armed, okay, and to continue their war path. All right. And now we see, all right, what a Heavenly Father is putting a wrench, all right, and getting ready to break up this whole system, this whole alliance, as the scriptures say in the book of Obadiah. Okay, the book of Obadiah. This is the book of Obadiah, verse 7, it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee, all right, have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And they that eat thy bread, okay, have taken on your dollar, all right. And one of the biggest ways of committing fornication with the whore is, trading in dollars. See? And this is why a lot of these nations are trying to find a way around that dollar. All right, as the scriptures say, the nation shall not flow anymore unto her. But, that's going to be a hard task. You're not going to just get around the U.S. dollar. All right, so ultimately, war is getting ready to take place. Okay, and that's prophecy. Okay, so the men of thy confederacy, meaning their agreement, okay, their coalition. The word confederacy in the Hebrew is bariath, covenant, alliance. Okay, so this beast system and these different agreements they made for the purpose of protecting the whore, okay, it's all getting ready to break up. Okay, it says pledge, treaty, alliance, league, constitution, ordinance, monarch to subjects, okay, agreement. Okay, so they've had these agreements over these years, but we're living in a time where moves are being made, all right, where everybody is getting ready to choose their side. Okay, so we know that Turkey is a part of NATO. Okay, let's read this again. Obadiah 1 verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, destroy even the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? So they don't even understand, because, their eyes is fixated on, this NWO, the fact that, we're getting ready to head into, our new world. We need war, we need deception, we need chaos, and we're going to be the phoenix that rises out of the ashes to establish our NWO, as we have the means to, survive, destruction. We have our bunkers, we have this, but synonymously, they don't agree on nothing. The elites don't agree. We know the elites are behind pretty much all of this. They play both sides, but even the elites don't agree. Okay, so the Lord has Babylon the Great in a conundrum in this particular situation. Because if Israel goes to war with Turkey, who is a NATO member, what does Babylon do? Okay, and what does this mean for the future? As the committee established by the government warns that Turkey's ambition to restore its Ottoman era, okay, influence could lead to heightened tensions with Israel, possibly escalating into conflict. Israel must prepare for a direct confrontation with Turkey, according to Nagel's committee report on defense budget. Okay, the committee established by the government warns that Turkey's ambitions to restore its Ottoman era influence.
Take a look at this map. Turkey's military footprint spans across northern Cyprus, Qatar, Libya, Iraq, Syria, and even Somalia. And this has led some observers to ask, is Turkey's current president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, trying to revive the Ottoman Empire? Turkey played a critical role in aiding Syrian rebels, particularly the group under Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, led by Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, to seize control of significant parts of the country, opposing the brutal Bashar al-Assad regime. This shift of power has not only forced Assad to flee Syria, but has also paved the way for HTS to begin forming a new country. However, this emerging state is set to operate under Turkey's growing influence. But forget old-school imperialism. Turkey isn't trying to redraw maps. This is about influence, a strategy deeply rooted in modern geopolitics. Modern superpowers, like the US, no longer directly conquer and annex territory. Instead, they use tools like the IMF to facilitate a state of economic dependency, or they directly back devastating campaigns of regime change to install ideologically favorable governments. Examples being the Vietnam War of 1954 to 75, the Indonesian mass killings of 1965 to 66, the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and so on. Each of these devastating interventions deserves its own separate analysis.